So, has anyone ever seen the show Tiny Toons? I haven't. I've never actually seen the show, like, ever, but it seems to be like the Looney Tunes. But as kids, I think? I really don't know. Despite never actually having seen the show myself, I've always, for some reason, had this Tiny Toons game floating around in my PS1 collection. I've had it for so long that I don't even have the box for it anymore. I just have it in a loose jewel case. I've had this game for as long as I can remember, and I've never once seen the game's source material. It's a puzzle adventure game developed by Warthog Games. Never heard of them? Well, probably because everything they've ever made is apparently fucking abysmal. The game was also published by Conspiracy Entertainment. Never heard of them? Well, that's because everything they've ever published is apparently fucking abysmal. Well, enough about the people who made the game, who apparently shouldn't be touching the gaming industry with a 20-foot magnetic rod. Let's talk about the actual game. Like I already stated, it's a Tiny Toons point-and-click adventure game for the PlayStation 1.
Or at least that's what I'm calling it, since it's really just a point-and-click adventure game, but it's on the PS1, so there's no mouse, which means there's no pointing and or clicking, but I don't know if it has a name for it. So I'm just gonna call it point-and-click adventure, or whatever the fuck I call it. How am I supposed to know this shit?
In the game, the four main Tiny Toons, I guess I'll call them, were all getting together before school and discussing the school report that they had to do the night before. However, the green Daffy Duck here didn't do his book report. So, what is your natural course of action after realizing that you didn't do your homework that's due that day? A. Suck it up and accept your 0, maybe turning it in late for partial credit if your teacher allows you. B. Hurry and rush it to have it finished in time for that class. Or C. Get all of your friends to help build you a fucking time machine so that you can go back into the past to the night before to do your book report. If you chose C, then congratulations, this game is for you. You start playing the game as Plucky in the school's indoor tennis court? Cause, yeah, all schools have indoor tennis courts. If your school didn't have an indoor tennis court, you had no childhood. Your time machine here starts off as a red bike, but with some time, patience, and the help of your friends, you'll somehow be able to turn it into a time machine. However, first things first, we should probably fix the puncture. The last time I saw my puncture repair kit, I was watching my favorite movie in the history room. I have literally no idea why he brought his puncture repair kit into the history room, but it's probably best not to question it. Also, the history room is supposed to have a black and white filter on it, but his hair tuft still has color in it. 0 out of 10, worst game ever. Anyways, in the history room, we find a potato just sitting in a desk, and 2 films. However, we're only allowed to keep 2 items in our inventory at a time. All other items go in the lockers, which can only be accessed in one single area of the game. However, to access the lockers, we need our lock combination, which Plucky, the most irresponsible student in the world, forgot. However, don't worry, because all of the students' locker combinations are conveniently posted up on this billboard, which is a really bad measure of security. What's even the point of lockers having locks if you can just go and look up anyone's lock combination at any time? It'd kinda be like if YouTube kept a billboard of every single account's passwords up at their HQ. It's not super secure. Also, it's extra stupid that Plucky forgot his locker combo since it's literally just 222. How the fuck do you forget a number that easy? And guess what? Every time you want to access your locker, you need to put in the combo. And yes, I mean every single time. And then you need to wait through a loading time. And then when you want to leave your locker, you have to wait through another loading time. Ah yes, I could see that this beautiful, expansive interface needed a solid 3 seconds to load. Also, it's important to note that this game has a lot of guess and check with inventory items on world items. Because of that, you're probably gonna need to running to your locker and back quite a lot to switch out items. Hell, sometimes you need 2 inventory items on a world item at the same time, and that could be especially infuriating because if you don't know what to do, that's gonna cost you a fuck ton of locker trips just to try different item combinations. Needless to say, this locker system is nothing more than an artificial game length extender meant to pad the game out. Ugh. Anyways, back to the game. We can find a can opener in the tennis court, where all can openers are known to reside, and use that to open the film cans. Okay, well, one of the film cans. This can opener is stupidly subjective with what it can and can't open. This can opener is stupidly subjective with what cans it can open. It's almost as if the game designers didn't fully think out how the game would work, causing inconsistencies. Anyways, we steal an air pump from some random person's bag and fix our bike. Also, oddly enough, that was the first fifth of the game completed. Yeah, I already completed a fifth of the game, and I'm not even 10 minutes into it yet. Oh boy. While Plucky is fixing his bike with the puncture repair tool, he sends his friend, I'm sure he has a name, but I forgot it, to find a warped coil. Now, this is where the game starts getting a lot more frustrating. Every time you complete a chapter, as I'll call it, of the game, you switch characters and then unlock a new part of the school. Now, this seems fine and dandy, but there's no actual sense of progression throughout the game world. There are times when you need to return all the way back to the first room in the later segments of the game. Normally with games, once you're done with one area, you'll go into the next and think, okay, cool, everything I need to beat this area of the game is in this area of the game. But nope, not Tiny Toon's Adventures. It makes the game world a confusing mess. It also doesn't help that I didn't use half the items that I got in Chapter 1, meaning that I'll still have to keep tabs of these items while also worrying about any items that I get throughout this chapter. That's annoying. Anyways, we go into the newly unlocked section of the school, the performing arts section, and go into the theater. The theater also has the most annoying walking sound effect known to man. Isn't that just music to your ears? Anyways, we use the comedy film that we picked up in the history room, which couldn't be opened by the can opener because logic, and use that to create a laughing sound effect when this guy here tells a joke. Then, after playing the laughing sound effect for him, he decides to give me this iron key for no explainable reason. Cause, yeah, that's a normal reaction when you help someone. Oh yeah, dude, thanks for helping me out, I really appreciate it. Here, take this random key that I found. I'm sure it's used for something. Also, considering that we're in the artsy section of the school, I should probably talk about the presentation of the game. Graphics-wise, it's okay for PlayStation 1 standards. The models look, passable. I mean, we got some blue sticking out of the wall, and some black in the sky. So, good stuff. And the animations, despite being in a low frame rate for some reason, and no, that's not the way the game runs, or my recording software, that's literally just how the characters are animated, are cartoony and passable. The biggest issue with the graphics is that it's bland. The walls of the hallways in the school are just naked. There's no posters or decorations or school spirit of any kind. They're just bright, solid colors with the occasional billboard sporting some unfunny joke. The music is also pretty good and fairly memorable for me. However, it would help a lot if the music wasn't so buggy. Sometimes the music is there. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it shows up or disappears at random. And sometimes it feels the need to restart when I enter a new hallway. I don't know how it's possible to fuck up this badly when programming music into your game. Also, you'd think that would have been like the most irritating issue that they faced when playtesting the game, and that they would have fixed it as a result. I mean, that's kinda assuming that they actually did playtest the game, which I wouldn't be so surprised if they didn't. Also, I should probably talk about the enemies in the game. These two enemies are the only enemies, and the only threats you'll encounter during the game. They roam the hallways, sometimes. Sometimes they'll be there, and sometimes they won't. If one of them is in your way, you can literally just walk in and out of a nearby room until they despawn. Although you probably won't need to do that, since all you really need to do to avoid them is simply walk past them. Best enemies ever. Top 10 enemies in video games. Number 1, the two fuckers from Tiny Toons. I don't even know their fucking names. However, if they do manage to get a hold of you, they start kissing you. Okay? Fucking furries are gross, dude. If they manage to drain all your eye life, your character gets locked away in some part of the school and you need to play as your previous character to rescue them before you can continue on with the game. That means that the further along in the game you are, the more health you have, which is not making any sense. That makes no fucking sense. Why does the game just get easier over time? That's stupid. However, that never happened to me even once during my playthrough of the game, so I think it's fair to say that these guys are more like minor annoyances than any actual sort of threat. It's like the developers realized how boring the game was towards the end of development, so they threw these two half-baked pieces of shit into the game to spice it up a bit. Anyways, after like another 10 minutes of playing the game, and trust me, this chapter of the game is the longest, but only because of how confusing it is, we make the warped coil and bring it back to Plucky. He gives the warped coil to Plucky and then goes to lunch because it's lunchtime. Oh, hey! Oh, isn't that funny? It's the fat character and he eats lunch. That's a really funny joke, you guys. Good job. I give you an A+. Coincidentally, as soon as he leaves, another character, Babs the Bunny, walks into the room. Or maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe the developers just don't know how the hell to introduce characters into the game. Plucky tells us that we need a cook's flipacitor, whatever the fuck that is, and then sends us on our way. We get to play as Babs and we unlock a new part of the school. We head on down to the cafeteria, which is completely and totally empty, despite it being lunchtime, supposedly. Also, speaking of, this school is suspiciously empty. Every classroom you go into, 99% of the time, there's nobody in there. And those two asswipes are constantly in the hallways. They never go to class. Hell, would it really be that hard to put some idle NPCs around the map to give you people to talk to? I get that it's an early PS1 game, but plenty of games had lively worlds with NPCs to talk to. Come on, this is supposed to be a wacky, lively cartoon world, but it's so dead and desolate. Wait a second. This isn't an early PS1 game. This game was released in, and I'm not joking, I'm completely fucking serious, September 2001. September 2001! Nearly 7 years after the PlayStation 1 had been launched, and over a year since the PlayStation 2 had been launched. Yeah, this makes all of my nitpick problems with the game so far completely inexcusable. A game in 2001 should not be looking like this. Anyways, we head on down to the cafeteria, where the only other character there is some floating girl? Anyway, she has the cook's flipacitor because the chefs gave it to her for some reason, and if we want it, we have to complete 4 riddles. What gets bigger the more you take away from it? A hole? Wait, are you serious? That was actually the answer? So yeah, we need to get a hole from this box, which is up on this bell tower on top of the school. There's a box up here and we need to pick the lock to it using our hairpin. Also, note that there are many locks throughout the game. However, this is the only lock in the game that you can pick. Like I said, the item usage can be really fucking weird sometimes, such as the can opener that will only open up one specific can, or the hair clip that can only pick one specific lock. You even get the fucking hair clip back after you use it, signifying that you'll need it again, which you never do. It's absolute madness, man. Anyways, we give the hole to her and then we get our second riddle. What can you serve, but you cannot eat? I don't know. There are a lot of things that you can serve but not eat. Like, how about a well-deserved punch to the mouth? Or beak? Actually, it turns out that this is also an easy but stupid one. The answer is tennis ball, so you need to take this chewed up gum that you found in the bathroom, which is just gross, and use that to break the tennis ball machine in the tennis court, thus getting a tennis ball. I mean, you could have just grabbed one of the millions of tennis balls that this thing shoots out off of the floor, but apparently that just makes no sense. The third riddle is, what gets wet as it dries? This one is the most ridiculous. Okay, so the answer is towel, and that part of figuring it out is easy enough, but the way you actually need to get the towel is fucking stupid. So first we need to get this crooked nail in this rubber glove. We fill the rubber glove with air and then straighten out the nail using the same machine that we fixed to get the warped coil. Then we go back up to the bell tower and go over to the crow in the crow's nest. We use the nail to pop the inflated rubber glove to scare the crow away, and then we find a crowbar underneath the crow's nest. Ha! Get it? Isn't it so fucking funny? Anyways, after that we need to take the crowbar into the girl's bathroom and use that to pry open the locked stall, which has a towel in it. Now, I have 2 major issues with this. 1. Why the fuck was the towel inside of the stall? The sinks are clearly outside of the stall. So what? Are girls supposed to go to the bathroom, leave the stall to wash their hands, and then go back into the stall just to dry their hands? That's fucking retarded. Also, why the fuck couldn't we just crawl under the stall? Why did we instead have to pry it open with a crowbar? None of this needed to happen. Anyways, the fourth and final riddle is, I have eyes, yet I cannot see. What am I? Despite the fact that this is the fourth and final riddle, it's always, for some reason, the easiest, since the answer is potato, and we've had a potato in our inventory since pretty much the beginning of the game. After that, you finally get the chef's capacitor, which is literally just a pan of spaghetti and meatballs, and take that over to Plucky, where he somehow adds that onto his time machine. After Babs fucks off, Buster, the final character of the game, enters the room, and you can start the fourth and final chapter of the game. Also, remember how at the beginning of the game, Plucky informs the audience that he needs 5 pieces for his time machine? Well, apparently the game is a fucking liar because you only need to collect 4. The final item is a sonic wrench. This part of the game is probably the most interesting, mainly because there's a fucking museum in this school. Cause, you know, I don't think I've ever been to a single school that doesn't have a museum in it. That's just normal for most schools. And there's this fucking prison dungeon hidden behind the museum? What the fuck is wrong with this school? Yes, because I remember the last time I misbehaved at school, I was thrown into the dark and stormy prison dungeon that was locked and hidden behind an Egyptian sarcophagus in the school's museum. It's completely normal, I promise. Anyways, we get the sonic wrench, which just looks like a normal wrench, and bring it to Plucky to finish his time machine. And guess what? You wanna know what happens? You wanna know what we get as payoff for this grand fucking journey of ours? You wanna know the amazing ending to this magical adventure of ours? Well, fine. Here you go. Oh, I've never been more disappointed in my life. Yeah, I think it goes without saying, but this game is fucking awful. Also, for the record, I completed this game in 55 minutes, and at least half of it was spent going to my locker and back. This game is so hilariously bad, and I'm genuinely surprised that it doesn't come up more often in discussions about awful games. I want everyone to spread the word. Spread it far and long that Tiny Toons Adventures, Plucky's Big Adventure, is a terrible video game. Also, why is it called Plucky's Big Adventure? You literally play as Plucky for less than 10 minutes. In fact, he did the least work in building the goddamn time machine. This game's title lied to me. Hey everyone, this video is sponsored by myself. Yeah, I'm sponsoring my own shit. How pretentious! But in all seriousness, I'm currently looking for freelance work as a video editor. If you happen to need video editing work, or know someone who does, I can be reached at Scootakip@gmail.com. Alternatively, I also have a Fiverr page. Both my email and Fiverr will be in the description. So, if you like my editing and would like to hire me...
That'd be really neat of you to do. Just saying.
And off to the outro.